Good afternoon, friends. Today we are going to discuss about the third chapter of communicative English, which is based on letters. When we talk about letters, from our childhood days, we have studied that letters are of different types. And when we are talking about letters in our communicative English subject, we are going to deliver or we are going to study more about the formal letters. So in detail, we are going to talk about the business letters. But before we are going to discuss about this particular chapter, let us understand the difference between formal letter and informal letter. First of all, whenever we talk about informal letters are those letters which we write to our friends, to family members, or to our uh, near and dear ones, so that we can share about our well-being, we can talk about our problems, we can discuss about their well-beings in detail. The next kind of letter is the business letter. Whenever we write a letter, particularly for a kind of business that we are going to work on or dealing with, such kind of letters are called as business letters. When we talk about business letters, there can be different situations, there can be different occasions on which we are going to write different letters to the different persons or to the different people, such as sometimes we write letters to stakeholders, sometimes we are writing letters to suppliers, sometimes we are writing letter to client, sometimes we write letters to even our customers. So there could be different situation, there could be different kind of people with whom we are going to share the information through the form, in the form of a letter or through a letter form. So the next is official letter. Whenever we are writing any kind of letter which is related to our official work, which is related to our professional and day-to-day life of our occupation, such kind of letter is called as official letters. In these official letters, we communicate about the organization within which we are working, between department, between the branches, between the different units which are working in the different places of the same organization. When letters are written within the purview of an organization, and which is related to the different departments or the different functions, such kind of letters are called as official letters. So the moment comes when we talk about letter, there is a proper rule of writing these letters, and in our syllabus we talk only about the formal letters. We are not going to discuss about the informal way of writing. We are focusing on only the formal way of writing these letters. And when we talk about the formal way of writing letter, there are 6 different rules that we have to keep in our mind when we write a letter. The first is the heading. Always remember to start the letter with a heading. The second is salutation. You need to respect, you need to show that you are courteous in your speech. So how do you salute, how do you move ahead, and how do you proceed ahead? The third is the body of the letter. The body of the letter is the main important part of the letter, and so when we write the body has to be properly framed, drafted, so that the information could be shared in a right manner. The next is the subscription, followed by the signature, and then the addresses. So when we talk about the heading or even the salutation, you can see on the slide there are different examples. When we write a heading, we start with the address, then we talk about the lane or the street in which we are based or we are situated or located, and the place, the place along with its pin code. Then comes the date. Always remember, the date has to be mentioned in a proper way. The date should be in either DD, MM, and YY form, or it could be in month, followed by date, and followed by the year form. When we salute, when we are addressing someone, when a person is known to us, we add dear, dear sir, or dear ma'am. When a person is not known to us, when a person is absolutely of who is not at all related with us, and we are interacting for the first time, when we don't know, we are not into ambience with the other person, then at that time, please remember to start the letter with sir or ma'am. We do not use the word dear there, because we don't know whether the person knows us or not, or whether the other person is knowing about us or not. So therefore, keep this in your mind whenever you are addressing, when you start the letter, do it with the right salutations. Then the body part of the letter. Please remember, the body part is very, very important, as I have already told you all, that the body part is divided into different paragraphs. Always remember to start the letter with the main purpose. The moment the person is going to read the letter, the reading letter, say for example, what is the information, based on to what you are writing the information, that could be even identified in the form of a subject. Immediately after writing the date, you can add on another column called as subject. the subject will definitely show or highlight the importance of that particular letter. Say, for example, the subjects could be, it could be an application letter for leave, it could be a complaint letter for the product purchased on so and so date from so and so service center or from so and so organization or the departmental store. Now there could be different subjects. Please remember, the subject line is not a complete sentence, it has to be in a phrase or an incomplete form. So therefore, so that the highlight, the important keywords can be registered by the reader of that particular letter. So once after writing the subject, start with the salutation, and in the salutation, after writing the salutation, begin with the body part, begin with the main part of the letter. This main part of the letter is again divided into three important categories, or subdivision of the body is divided into three parts. The first one is the purpose. Why am I writing the letter? What is the reason behind writing this particular letter? That has to be clearly defined and discussed in the first part of the body. Second, what is the explanation from your end, or what kind of information that you want in detail, or what is the information that you are sharing with the other person? The proper explanation part will be covered in the second part of the body, that is the second paragraph. And in the third and the last paragraph, you are going to talk about the call of action. What is it that you are willing the other person to do, or the respondent, how they should react, or how they are going to act after reading that particular letter? That is the last part, or the third part of the letter, that is called as call of action, or the conclusion part of the letter. So always remember, the body part is divided into three categories. Introduce what is the purpose behind writing the letter, then give a proper explanation, or even what is it expected from the audience or from the respondent, and finally conclude with a follow-up action or call for action, so that the person can respond accordingly or according to it. The next is, whenever we are talking about like the way we are going to end up, the way we are going to address the other person. So the subscription of the letter talks about how do we address. Whenever we are writing a letter to blood relations, the word that we use is generally your affectionately, with the friends your sincerely. And whenever you are writing a letter to your principal, to the headmaster, or even to the teacher, please remember to use the subscription yours obediently. Remember the word principle. There are two principles. In our previous class, we discussed about the principles of communication, the ideals, the rules. Now, whenever you are talking about rules, the word principle, the spelling of that principle would be Principle. Now, when we talk about head, when we are talking about the main part of the organization or the institution or any of the function, the word principle, the spelling, these are two homophones. Where we are talking about the sound remains same, but the spelling varies. So the principal, Principal, is the head of the institution. So whenever you are writing a letter to your principal, to the headmaster, or to your teachers, use the subscription yours obediently. To the official and business people, with them we use the subscription yours faithfully, and to the strangers yours truly. Now, when we talk about address, before I enter into this part of business letter, before we discuss about the types of the business letter, let us understand that writing address, whether it is really important or not. When we talk about writing from address, if you're writing a letter on a letterhead, wherein the address is already mentioned either in the header or in the footer, you should avoid writing letter, because it will be a repetition. So therefore, you have to keep in your mind, while writing a letter on a letterhead, do not write your address. That is, from address should be eliminated. You have to skip from address when you write a letter on a letterhead wherein already the address is mentioned. If the address is not mentioned, then you can definitely write from address too. So now, moving on to the next part of this particular chapter, we are going to talk about the different business letters. Mind you that when we talk about business, business is a flow of action. This flow of action happens every now and then, and it is related to the different activities which is involved in doing or while doing a business. So when we talk about doing business or dealing in a business, often we talk about inquiry. A customer may inquire about the product. Your clients may inquire about your product. The sponsors to whom you're approaching, they may inquire about your proposal or the product. So therefore, when we talk about the first kind of letter that we are going to discuss is inquiry letter. In inquiry letter, the person is trying to explore more about your product. It's trying to know more about your services that you are offering. So when you inquire, always remember there are certain expectations which you have to fulfill. And if you do not set up that particular expectation, and if you do not reach up to that expectation, then your inquiry will remain an inquiry. You cannot convert your prospects into your clients. So therefore, always remember, when you make an inquiry, the language that you're going to use, the words that you're going to use should be apt enough so that the other person can also reciprocate with a call of action. The next kind of letter is sales letter. Here, it is generally used by the salesperson who are willing to pitch their product, to pitch their services, and to explore more opportunities in the open market for their product or services. So when we talk about sales letter talks about how do you share your information about the product or the services that you are trying or that you are willing to offer to your clients or to the customers. So try to attract your customers and clients by adding more information about your product, by giving them a fair knowledge about your product, and also telling them about the features, the advantages and benefits. The next kind of letter is order letter. Once when there is an order, you receive an order from a person. Remember in your childhood days where your teachers were asking you to write a letter wherein you were asked to request, or you were asked to send a letter by placing an order for books. That was actually a kind of order letter. Now, whenever you put your order in front of the salesperson, you have to request them with the quotations, that is the right amount that you agreed upon, when you're going to pay the amount, how much is the quantity that is required. There has to be a proper genuine facts and figures which are to be included in the order letter. By what time you are going to get the orders, and whether you are willing to make the order in a form of like it could be online, offline, how well you are going to get the order. Will it be from one single customer or from one single salesperson, or will it be from the different sources? That all depends on the order letter that you're going to post or place. So order is you are ordering for something. Say for example, you have ordered something on online. Immediately you receive a letter based on your order. So such kind of placing an order is called as order letter. Sometimes it is also called as purchase order letter or placing an order letter. The next is complaint letter. Whenever we purchase either the product or the services which we have used, we are either happy or we feel unhappy. Whenever you are unhappy, there is a complaint. Complaint could be registered in both the ways. There can be a problem from your end because of your leniency, or because of your misbehavior, or because of some bad code of conduct. You are the reason for the problem that is raised. So therefore, it could be complaint which could be raised against you, or complaint which is raised by you. So always remember, complaint letter could be in both the ways. It could be handled by the person, or it could be responded to the other person. Adjustment letter. Whenever you agree after writing a complaint, when someone says that, okay, fine, your complaint is addressed now and we are ready to forego your loss, then we write an adjustment letter. This adjustment letter is generally made against the complaint letter. Say for example, you bought a mobile phone wherein the mobile was very good, but its battery was getting heated very soon. So therefore you request for a replacement by writing a complaint letter. When your mobile is exchanged, that is again you receive a letter, you receive some kind of communication saying that yes, we have received your complaint, and based on the complaint that you have registered, we agreed to replace your mobile. That kind of confirmation, that kind of information that is shared via letters, that is called as an adjustment letter. The next is follow-up letter. Whenever we have inquired, or whenever we have made any kind of inquiry, people may reach up to us time and again, asking us from our end our call of action. So therefore, when someone is asking you for the follow-up, when someone is asking for your call of action, that kind of letter is called as follow-up action letters or follow-up actions. Always remember, follow-up is done when you have shown your interest, and when the other person is knowing that you are one of the prospect, which will definitely turn into a customer or a client. Then the next is letter of recommendation. Often this is used in the professional level. even students get recommendations these days. They get recommendation from the teachers when they are working for the first time, when they join any of the organization for the first time. Their organization asks for a recommendation letter either from the director or dean of the institute or from the principal of the organization. So therefore, always remember, recommendation letters are those letters which are taken or which are accepted by the job givers, by the job person who has taken the interview, and after taking the interview is willing to offer you a job, and they want some kind of proof that yes, you are a right candidate and you are capable enough of handling such kind of work. The next is acknowledgement letter. Now, whenever you are asked to do some action and the other person wants to get a confirmation from your end that yes, you have read and you are going to reciprocate to that particular letter, such kind of letter is called as acknowledgement letter. Please remember, acknowledge means I agree. I have read the particular letter, and then based on that information, I hereby declare, or I hereby acknowledge, or I hereby promise to do something. That is called as acknowledgement letter. Cover letters. These are used by most of the organization wherein they talk about their product, when they are going to send a complete report about what is enclosed, what is being delivered. Even as a human being, when we are into our graduation, and when we are in our final year of graduation, and when we are approaching to the different companies, we also write a cover letter to the different HR or the concerned organization head, sharing about our resume, about our projects, about our life projects, about our internship or OJT. Please remember, cover letter gives a brief introduction about what the product is, who the customer or client is, and what they want to convey. Letter of resignation is when you have resigned, when you have decided to resign from a particular position, then you always have to give a letter to the organization in advance saying that from so and so date you will not be in a position to take up the job, or you have to leave the job because of certain reasons. And what could be the reason? That reason could be mentioned in the resignation, and you have to serve a notice period. Please remember, serving notice period will always help you in strengthening your relationship, even with those organizations where you have worked and now you have to leave because of some or the other circumstance. So please remember, letter of resignation is very important. Now, whenever we are talking about the different types of letters, be it an inquiry letter or a sales letter or placing an order letter or a letter of complaints, acknowledgement letter, adjustment letter, offer letter, or cover letter, or letter of resignation, every letter has to be presented in a proper way. If it is not appealing to the readers, trust me, your letter is going to just be thrown in the bin. So therefore, how do we ensure that our letter is read by the receiver? What we have to do for that part, the first thing that we need to do is we have to outline and we have to organize our ideas. What is the purpose behind writing this particular letter? For that, what kind of information do I have to gather in order to provide the necessary supporting documents, or in order to provide the evidence, in order to use the right words, in order to use the right sentences? How can I convince the reader? For that, I have to gather information. After gathering information, then I need to draft. I have to start writing it. When I start writing it, I write it because I know what I want to convey. After drafting, I need to see whether the address to whom I want to deliver, whether that address is with me in a right form or not. Say, for example, if there is a mistake in the address, trust me, your letter is not going to reach to the receiver at the right time, or it will never reach to the receiver. So always make sure that you have the right address of the recipient so that the letter can reach to them at right time and in a right form. Start with great opening. If you are not going to open it in a good way, nobody is going to read your letter. Nobody has that much of time to read in detail each and every word, each and every point of the letter. So always remember, beginning of the letter should be good. When you start well, it is going to end well. If you do not start well, trust me, it is never going to end in a proper way. So start it in an impressive way so that the person, while reading the letter, should feel happy, should feel delighted, should feel enthusiastic in reading the complete information which is shared in the form of the letter. Be very specific, as I have discussed even in my previous class on principles of communication, when we are talking about conciseness, we always should remember that conciseness is the key part of our communication. We have to keep our communication in a very simple, short, and easy way. If we are not straightforward and if we do not keep our communication simple and specific, people will be in dilemma. People may take time to respond and to reciprocate. So therefore, it is very important to understand that we have to keep our words very simple, easy to understand, and in a very simple, straightforward manner. You have to generate and maintain interest of the reader. And if you do not do this, trust me, your letter is not at all going to do any kind of good for you. So if you really want to be a good communicator, learn the art of writing good letters, start it in a best way, end it in a best way, create or generate interest so that the person can have more enthusiasm while reading the letter. How do we generate this interest, or how can we attract the audience, or how can we attract the reader? Add more relevant documents. Supporting documents plays a very important role. When people look their profits, when people are seeing their benefits, automatically they get attracted. And finally, before you are going to place it in an envelope and before you post it, review and revise. Wait for a time, give a 5 to 10 minutes break, reread it, so that see whether you have captured all the important points or not. Sometimes it may happen that at a go, when you are writing a letter, you may skip certain important points. You might have forgotten certain important points which you did not capture in the letter. So therefore, before you send or before you post, it is very important, or it is advised, that whenever you are writing a letter, wait for a while. Give 5 to 10 minutes time of break after drafting the letter. Before you send, reread it, revise it, proofread it, whether there is any spelling error, is there any kind of grammatical error, or the words that are used by you, are they really appealing or not? You can change the words, you can change the sentences, you can even change certain important points, whether you have added right information or not. You can check all these and then send the letter. Once when you do this, remember, the technique of writing the letter should be based on the concept of IDA. This is again applied even in sales. The acronym IDA talks about attention, interest, desire, and action. Unless and until you don't attract the audience, if you do not grab the attention of the audience will not read your letter. So therefore, the recipient, the respondent, should get attracted. His attention should be completely on your letter. How can we do that? Either by writing a very good subject line, or even by starting the letter in a very impressive and in a beautiful way, so that the person can have the complete faith on you, and then he or she can start reading the letter in full. The next is interest. Please remember, add more of benefits, add more of advantages. Be very succinct while writing the letter. Do not try to bluff, do not try to add any kind of confusing or wrong information. Incorrect information should never be added in the letters. Always remember, it is very important to write the letter which can add attention with interest. And then the desire should be generated. If there is no enthusiasm to carry ahead with the action, with the call of action, with the follow-up action, the person will never ever proceed ahead. So therefore, you should always keep in your mind that the desire will be generated only when you are adding right information, right facts, right figures, and that will enrose, or that will give that will trigger the person to act accordingly. So whenever we talk about writing letters, we understood in this particular chapter that business letter writing is not an easy task. When we write a letter, we have to follow a proper step. We start with the address, that is with the heading, then we move ahead with the salutation, then we talk about the body part, then we come to the subscription, and then we follow up with the supportive documents. The letters can be of different types. The letter have to be followed, and then the writing tips of the letter should be kept in our mind. Outline and organize your thoughts. Gather as much information as you can, and then find out what can generate more interest among the readers so that they can act accordingly. Don't forget the technique of IDA while writing the letter. This is 100% workable, and if you keep this technique in your mind, if you grab attention, if you make the person act with interest, and if their desire is generated, automatically you will see that the person is acting accordingly. So therefore, When we talk about writing business letter is an art, and if this is applied, for sure we are going to get maximum benefit out of writing these business letters, and our business will flourish at a high speed. That's all in our class. Thanks for listening, and we are going to come back with another topic, with another subject part. Thank you very much.